The screams came first. It was high and terrifying. Then the running. Then the crashing of furniture. Then Jessica's desperate voice shaking the entire mansion. "Mimi, Mirabelle, someone help me, they're gone." At exactly 11:47 p.m., the home of Jerry, Jessica, the twins, and the entire legacy built on compassion erupted into chaos. Rain battered the roof like angry fists. Wind slammed against windows. Thunder cracked like the sky was splitting in two. And inside the nursery on the top floor, 2 tiny beds were empty. Blankets thrown aside, curtains fluttering. A window wide open, swaying back and forth. Jessica, barefoot and trembling, stumbled backward and pressed her hands to her mouth. "No, no, no, God, no!" Jerry dashed in behind her, still wearing his office shirt, tie loosened, laptop bag slung over one shoulder. "Jessica, what happened?" Jessica pointed at the open window, shaking violently. I just stepped out to warm their milk. I came back and—" "Jerry, they're gone." Jerry's heart slammed against his ribs so hard he felt dizzy. He rushed to the window. Cold rain slapped his face. The drops outside were not normal rainwater. Footprints led across the balcony railing. Someone had climbed. Someone had carried 2 babies into the storm and disappeared. Jerry staggered backward. No, no, not my daughters, not tonight. Jessica collapsed onto the carpet, screaming, "Jerry, who would do this? Who would take our babies?" Before Jerry could answer, the security alarms went off. Beep, beep, intruder alert. Zone 4, nursery level. Guards ran up the stairs. The head of security burst into the nursery. The housemaid who helped with the twins fell to her knees and started sobbing uncontrollably. Mimi, Mirabelle. The entire mansion felt like it was suffocating. Amara and Johnson ran into the hallway moments later, out of breath and terrified. Mama Hannah followed, holding the railing with trembling hands. "What is happening?" Amara whispered in panic. "Jessica? Jerry? Where are the babies?" Jessica couldn't speak, only cried harder. Jerry knelt in front of his mother-in-law. "They're gone, Mama." Someone took Mimi and Mirabelle. Amara staggered backward and clutched the wall. "God forbid, God forbid." "Jerry, no, this house is protected." Mama Hannah cried out, "Not my great-grandchildren. Not the girls." Jerry stood up, jaw clenched, eyes burning. His voice dropped to a cold whisper. "They didn't sneak in. They didn't hide. Someone planned this." Jessica gasped. "Planned? But who?" Jerry didn't answer, because deep inside his chest, a fear he had buried for years suddenly rose again. Someone new. Someone from his past. Someone who once stole him. Someone who had never stopped hunting. Earlier that evening, everything had been perfect. The twins had just turned a year old. Mimi had learned to say, "Mama." Mirabelle had learned to stand and take 2 shaky steps. Jessica and Jerry spent the entire afternoon celebrating with Amara, Johnson, and Mama Hannah. The smell of jollof rice filled the kitchen. Laughter filled the living room. Even Jerry, who rarely let down his guard, danced foolishly with his daughters in his arms. But at exactly 10 p.m., an unknown number sent Jerry a message. A single sentence. "Your past always returns." Jerry froze. The phone vibrated again. "You took something from us. Now we take something from you." Jerry's blood ran cold. He stepped outside to call his head of security immediately. "Double security around the house," Jerry ordered. "Check the cameras. Nobody leaves or enters without my permission." His guard replied, "Yes, sir." Already tightening security. Jerry remained tense, but he didn't tell Jessica. He didn't want to ruin the celebration. Instead, he slipped his phone into his pocket, plastered a smile on his face, and picked up Mimi again. But someone was watching. Someone knew his weakness. Someone had already stepped into the house, and someone waited for nightfall. Security guards combed the house. Dogs were released into the compound. Cameras were replayed. Jerry grabbed the head of security by his collar. How did someone enter this house? With this level of security? "Sir, the cameras on the East Wing were disabled 5 minutes before the incident." "Disabled?" Jerry shouted. "By who?" We We don't know. It was done from the inside. Jessica gasped and staggered. Inside? You mean someone living here, someone we know, took our babies? The maid immediately started screaming. Please, it's not me. I swear on my life. Jerry didn't look at her. He was staring at the footprints outside the window. Bare feet. Small footprints, no adult prints. That meant someone had lowered a rope. Someone had climbed up and carried the babies out. Someone had help from the inside, and whoever did it was trained. Jerry clenched his fists as memory stabbed him. 20 years ago, his father murdered. He was shot, kidnapped, left on the road to die. Business enemies who trafficked men and boys. A gang who never forgave those who escaped. He thought they were gone. He thought the police had buried the case. He thought he was free. He was wrong. Very wrong. Jessica stood up slowly, shaking violently. Jerry, tell me the truth. Did someone take the girls because of you? Jerry couldn't speak. Jessica screamed at him. Jerry, answer me. My daughters are gone. Jerry closed his eyes, ashamed. Yes. Jessica, it's because of me. Because of my past. Jessica covered her face, crying in agony. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you warn us? Jerry knelt in front of her and grabbed her shoulders gently. I didn't want to scare you. I thought the danger was gone. I thought the past was dead. I thought... Jessica pushed him away. You thought? Our babies. Amara ran to hold her daughter as Jessica sobbed in her arms. Mama Hannah collapsed on the couch. Not again. Please, not again. I lost my son once. I cannot lose my great-granddaughters too. Jerry swallowed hard, guilt burning inside him. We will find them, he whispered. Jessica sobbed harder. How? How, Jerry? They could be anywhere. Jerry stood up slowly, eyes sharp, jaw clenched. They took the wrong children, he said coldly. My daughters are alive, and I will bring them home. Johnson stepped forward. Jerry, I will help you. I know what it feels like to be taken. Jerry nodded. I know. Johnson placed a trembling hand on Jerry's shoulder. We will fight. Together. Jerry turned to the head of security. No police yet, he ordered. Jessica gasped. No police? Why? Jerry looked at her with pain in his eyes. Because the people who took them, they are watching. If we involve the police, they will panic. And when kidnappers panic, they kill. Jessica fell silent. Her heart dropped. Jerry continued, voice steady. We will handle this quietly. My team will track the messages. Johnson will help identify the patterns. We will use drones, trackers, and every contact I have ever made. Jessica held her chest, breathing fast. Jerry, please bring them back. He took her hands. His voice cracked. I swear on my life, I will. Jerry's phone vibrated again. Everyone froze. He picked it up slowly. A picture loaded. Jessica screamed. It was Mimi and Mirabelle. Both crying, both tied to a wooden chair, both with cloth around their mouths. A shadowy figure stood behind them, face hidden. The caption under the photo said, Jerry's whole body turned cold. Jessica collapsed. Mama Hannah fainted. Amara trembled in fear. Johnson clenched his fists, and Jerry whispered, They want war? They'll get war. The fight for Mimi and Mirabelle had begun, and Jerry would burn the whole earth to bring them home. Thunder rumbled over Port Harcourt like the sky was warning them. A storm had come. Inside the mansion living room, chaos had frozen into a chilling stillness, the kind that happens right before a fierce battle begins. Jessica lay on the floor, gasping and shaking. Amara knelt beside her, wiping tears from her daughter's face with trembling fingers. Mama Hannah remained unconscious on the couch, breathing shallowly. Johnson held onto the wall, terrified but trying to stay strong. Jerry stood in the center of the room holding the phone, his face drained of color. He didn't blink, he didn't breathe, he didn't move. He simply stared at the picture on the screen. Mimi and Mirabelle tied to chairs, crying, a dark figure standing behind them. A message beneath the photo. Round 2 begins. Boy. This wasn't just kidnapping, this was personal. A message directed at him. A message tied to the past that destroyed his childhood. Finally, Jerry whispered, voice hoarse. They want to finish what they started 20 years ago. Jessica pushed herself up from the floor and grabbed his shirt. Jerry, please, please, bring my babies back. I beg you, bring them home. Jerry cupped her face, voice breaking. I swear, Jessica, I will not sleep. I will not eat. I will not breathe until they are back. But how? Jessica cried. We don't know who took them. We do, Jerry said quietly. Jessica froze. Amara's hands trembled. Johnson balled his fist. Jerry continued, voice steady but filled with pain. They are the same people who kidnapped me and my father 20 years ago. They were not all arrested. Someone survived. Someone rebuilt the group. And now, they want revenge. Jessica's eyes widened, horrified. Revenge? Revenge for what? You were the victim. Jerry nodded slowly. But to them, I am the one that got away, the one that survived, the one that ruined their operation, the one that lived to destroy their empire. A tear ran down Jessica's cheek. So they took our daughters, she whispered, her voice small, terrified. They want me to come to them, Jerry said. No one spoke. The air felt suffocating. Rain continued to pour outside, hitting the windows like fists. Finally, Johnson stepped forward. His voice was low. Then we go to them. Jerry turned to look at him. Johnson's expression was fierce, nothing like the broken, traumatized man who had just been rescued weeks ago. This is bigger than you think, Jerry warned. I know, Johnson replied. But I also know what it feels like to be dragged from the road and locked away in the dark. I know what it feels like to be helpless, and I will not let my granddaughters suffer what I suffered. Jerry swallowed hard. Johnson? No, Johnson said firmly. I lost 3 years of my life. I won't lose them too. Amara began crying again. Jerry, promise me they are alive. They are alive, he said firmly. If they wanted them dead, they would not have sent a photo. They want me alive. And they want me afraid. Jessica took Jerry's hand and held it to her chest. Then we cannot give them fear, she whispered. We fight. Jerry nodded once. The hunt had begun. The mansion basement had never been used since Jerry built the house. Tonight, it became a war room. Monitors lit up the space. A long steel table stood at the center. Thick files were dropped on it. Satellite feeds flickered on the screens. Jerry summoned his private security team, men trained in intelligence, counter-surveillance, and crisis recovery. Within 30 minutes, 15 elite professionals stood in the basement, waiting. Some were former military, some ex-police, some former underground operatives. These were not ordinary guards. These were men Jerry trusted with his life. The head of security, Daniel, stepped forward. Sir, we have examined the footage. The intruder entered from the east wing balcony. Cameras were disabled from the mansion's internal server. The breach happened in 7 seconds. Inside job? Jerry asked. Highly likely. Jerry clenched his jaw. Jessica entered the room, wearing a large hoodie, hair messy, eyes swollen from crying. You shouldn't be here, Jerry said softly. I can't sit upstairs, she whispered. They are my daughters, Jerry. I need to know everything. Jerry nodded and gestured for her to stand beside him. Johnson walked in next, hands balled into fists, determination burning in his eyes. Then Amara entered too, holding Mama Hannah's hand. The older woman was awake now, though still weak, but when she saw the screens with her kidnapped great-grandchildren on them, she cried silently. Jerry gave her a chair beside Jessica. Then he turned to his team. We have 2 babies missing. We have an experienced enemy. We have limited time. Daniel opened a tablet. We also found something, he said. A symbol. He pressed a button. A logo appeared on the screen, a snake wrapped around a broken scale. Jessica frowned. What is that? Jerry took a deep breath. That is the sign of the Vipers. Everyone turned to him. He continued. They are a criminal syndicate, the group that kidnapped me and killed my father. Jessica froze. Amara gasped. Johnson gritted his teeth. Jerry walked toward the screen, voice low. When I escaped 20 years ago, the police raided their main hideout. Many members were arrested. But not all. One man, their second-in-command, disappeared. He paused. A man named Caleb. Jessica swallowed. Is he the one who took our babies? Jerry nodded slowly. Caleb hates me. He blames me for losing their operation. And he vowed to destroy everything I ever loved. Jessica felt her knees weaken. Why didn't you tell me about him? Jerry exhaled painfully. Because I hoped the past was gone. I never wanted you to live in fear. Jessica touched her chest. Fear is nothing compared to losing my daughters, she whispered. Jerry nodded. Which is why we will get them back. Daniel cleared his throat. There's more, sir. Jerry turned. What else? Daniel zoomed into the photo that had been sent of the twins. Look at the background carefully. Jerry leaned forward. Behind Mimi and Mirabelle, faint markings could be seen on the wooden wall. Daniel enhanced the image. The words became clear. Rivers State Abandoned Quarry Block. 7. Jessica gasped. They sent us the location. Jerry shook his head. No, they're baiting us. They want us to come there. Alone. Amara cried out. But Jerry, what if the girls are not there? They might be, Jerry replied. But going blindly is dangerous. We need strategy, not emotion, Mama Hannah whispered. My great-granddaughters. Jerry. Save them. Jerry squeezed her hand. I will. Then he turned to the team. Prepare drones. Call the surveillance van. Send 2 men ahead to scout the quarry, but stay hidden. Nobody engages. Nobody moves until I say so. Yes, sir. As the team spread out, Jessica grabbed Jerry's arm. Jerry, what if we get there and… Jerry turned to her. Jessica, he whispered, I won't lose them. I won't lose you. I will die before I let anyone harm our girls. She broke down again. Jerry pulled her close and held her tightly, but deep inside his chest, fear twisted like a knife. Because he knew something, Caleb never acted alone. He was smart. He was ruthless. He was patient. He didn't send clues unless he had already planned 3 moves ahead. The first breakthrough came by 1:45 a.m. The surveillance team returned with news. Sir, Daniel reported, the quarry is monitored. Armed men. Looks like 7 guards. 7? Jerry frowned. Caleb travels with at least 12. That's why we believe he has more men hidden. Jerry nodded. What about the girls? No sign of them. But we found something else. Daniel placed a small black USB on the table. Someone dropped this on purpose. Probably a message. Jerry inserted the USB into the computer. A video file appeared. Message from the Vipers. Jessica grabbed Jerry's arm. He pressed play. The screen flickered. Then Caleb appeared. Tall. Broad shoulders. Scar across his lip. Cold eyes filled with cruelty. He smiled at the camera. Hello, Jerry. Jessica shivered. Mama Hannah clutched her chest. Caleb continued. You escaped me once. You ruined my business. You lived when you were supposed to die. His smile hardened. So now, you will feel what I felt. The camera panned sideways. Mimi and Mirabelle appeared. Tied, crying. Afraid. Jessica screamed and covered her mouth. Caleb's voice returned. These little angels. Adorable, but fragile. He leaned closer to them. Bring yourself to me, Jerry. Alone. You have 48 hours. Jessica collapsed against Jerry, sobbing. Caleb finished. Come to Block 7, or they die. The screen went black. Jessica screamed at the darkness. You monster! I will kill you! I swear I will kill you! Jerry gently held her face. His hands were trembling. Jessica, look at me. She cried harder. Jerry, they'll kill them. They'll kill them. Jerry wiped her tears. No, they won't, because they need me alive. Johnson spoke softly, voice pained. They want revenge. Jerry nodded. And they will do anything to get it. Jessica clutched his shirt. Jerry, don't go alone. Please, don't. I won't, Jerry whispered. I'm not walking into a death trap. Daniel stepped forward. We'll go with a disguised unit. Snipers on the hills, drones overhead, back up within 10 meters. Jerry held up a hand. No, this isn't a rescue mission. Everyone looked at him. Jerry's eyes turned dark, his voice cold. This is war. Jessica froze. War? Jerry nodded. They want me? His jaw tightened. Then they will get me. But we will not go as victims. He stood straighter. We will go as hunters. Jessica swallowed, heart pounding. Amara whispered, Jerry, you cannot fight them alone. I'm not alone, Jerry said. He looked at Jessica, Johnson, Mama Hannah, Amara, his security team. I have a family now, he said softly, and I will destroy anyone who tries to take it from me. By 2 a.m., the final preparations began. Maps were opened, weapons checked. Drones calibrated, Jerry's team prepared for the most dangerous operation of their lives. Jessica stood near him, watching as he strapped on his vest. Jerry, she whispered, come back to me. He cupped her face. I will. Jessica nodded, but tears streamed down her cheeks. Johnson stepped forward. Jerry, I'm going. Jerry shook his head. No. You're still healing. I spent 3 years locked in darkness. Johnson said quietly. I can sense danger. I can recognize the sound of chains. I know their tricks. Jerry paused. Johnson's voice cracked. Let me help. I owe my granddaughters their safety. Jerry finally nodded once. Stay close to Daniel, he said. Jessica hugged her father tightly. Come back to me too, she cried. Johnson kissed her forehead. I will. Jerry grabbed his gun, adjusted his earpiece, and turned to Jessica one last time. Jessica, when this is over, when our girls are home. He smiled sadly. We will live without fear again. Jessica broke into tears. Bring them home. Jerry, please. Jerry leaned forward and kissed her forehead. I will. Then he turned toward the door. Daniel shouted, Team, move out. The basement shook as the security unit followed Jerry upstairs. Jessica stood at the bottom of the stairs, clutching her chest, breath shaking. Amara held her daughter close. Mama Hannah prayed under her breath. Johnson walked behind Jerry, determined, and as the mansion doors opened, rain poured, thunder roared, engines growled. 3 armored SUVs waited in the driveway. Jerry climbed into the first one, Daniel into the second, Johnson into the third. Jessica watched from the doorway as the headlights flashed. The engines revved loudly, and the convoy pulled out of the mansion. The hunt had begun. The twins' lives depended on it. The night swallowed the vehicles whole, and Jessica fell to her knees whispering, God, please bring them back alive. Lightning ripped across the sky like a blade of fire as Jerry's convoy sped through the wet Port Harcourt roads. Rain smashed against the windshields, wipers struggling to keep up. The night was thick, dangerous, and heavy with dread. Jerry sat in the front SUV, jaw clenched, vest secured, gun holstered under his jacket. His eyes were fixed ahead like a man with no intention of turning back. Daniel, the head of security, monitored maps and live drone feeds from a tablet. Johnson sat in the third vehicle, wearing a bulletproof vest Jerry forced on him. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from memories he had tried to bury. Tonight, those memories would guide him. Jessica paced back and forth, unable to breathe normally. Amara tried to calm her, but Jessica felt her entire world falling apart. Mama Hannah clutched her Bible tightly. God will bring them home, she whispered. Jessica nodded repeatedly, though her heart was breaking. She looked at her daughter's baby photos lined up on the table. Mimi smiling with 2 tiny teeth. Mirabelle crawling toward her father's shoes. She broke down again. Mummy, my babies, they're only 1 year old. They don't know danger. They don't know fear. They don't even know how to say help. Oh God. Oh God. Amara held her close. Jessica, breathe. Jerry will find them. Jessica whispered desperately. He must. Daniel zoomed into a blurry drone shot. Sir, the quarry is 2 minutes ahead. There are multiple heat signatures. Armed men. Jerry whispered. Good. That means he's here. Johnson's voice came through the radio. Jerry, they like hiding men on the upper platform. Check for snipers. Daniel scanned. Confirmed. 2 shooters north platform, and 1 on the left ridge. Jerry nodded. Take them out silently. Already dispatched, Daniel said. The first drone hovered. A quiet puff of smoke. A dart fired. The sniper collapsed silently. The second went down. The third fell next. Jerry exhaled slowly. We move, he ordered. The SUV tires growled on gravel as the convoy veered off the main road, turning into the abandoned quarry. The place was dark. Forest on one side, flooded pits on the other. Huge rocks scattered like giant graves. Block 7 stood at the far end, an old rusted warehouse with broken windows and a sagging roof. A perfect place for a trap. Jerry stepped out of the SUV. Rain slapped his suit, his hair plastered to his forehead. He didn't care. All he saw was that warehouse. Where his babies might be. Where Caleb waited. Where the past demanded its final payment. Daniel lifted his fist, signaling the team. 3 stealth units fanned out. Snipers took positions. Drones hovered overhead. Jerry started walking toward the warehouse. Johnson hurried up to him. Jerry, wait. You can't walk straight in. Jerry didn't stop. Jessica needs her daughters. I need my daughters. This ends tonight. Johnson grabbed his arm. Listen to me. These men, they're not amateurs. They don't fight fair. They don't want a duel, they want you dead. Jerry turned slowly. And I'm prepared to die for them. Johnson stared at him, then nodded. I'll walk beside you. Jerry's voice softened. Johnson, no. You've suffered enough. Johnson shook his head, determination burning in his eyes. I know these people, Jerry. I lived in darkness like this. I understand their signs, their traps, their psychology. You need me. Jerry held his gaze for a long moment. Then he nodded. Together, they approached Block 7. Inside the warehouse, Caleb watched the live drone footage on a small screen inside the building. He smirked. Just like I predicted. He's coming straight to me. He turned to the 2 guards, holding Mimi and Mirabelle, who were tied to 2 chairs, crying silently behind their gags. Shh! Little princesses, he whispered chillingly. Daddy is coming. The men laughed. Boss, why didn't we kill them already? One asked. Caleb slapped him. Idiot. They are bait. Jerry needs to suffer before he dies. Only then will I take justice. He looked at the twins. His weakness, for once, is useful. He motioned to his men. Positions. The Vipers strike tonight. Jerry and Johnson stood 10 feet from the warehouse door. Daniel whispered through the comms. Sir, we have men around the perimeter. We can breach from all sides. No, Jerry replied. If Caleb sees too many guns, he'll panic. He'll hurt the babies. Johnson agreed. It must be slow, controlled. Expect traps. Jerry took a deep breath. Let's finish this. He pushed the door open. It creaked loudly. The warehouse was dark, silent, wet. Then, a spotlight suddenly snapped on. Jerry shielded his eyes, and Caleb stepped forward, clapping, slowly, mockingly. Well, 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 Caleb said, if it isn't the boy who ruined everything. Jerry's voice was ice. Where are my daughters? Caleb grinned. Oh, they're here. They've been very good girls. He stepped aside. Mimi and Mirabelle were revealed under another spotlight. Crying. Terrified. Jessica's babies. Jerry almost fell to his knees at the sight. But he forced himself to stand tall. Caleb walked closer. You ruined my empire 20 years ago. Do you know how many men I lost? How much money? How much power? Do you know how long I spent rebuilding? Jerry kept his gaze on the twins. Release them. Caleb laughed. Demanding now, are we? You're forgetting something. He leaned in close to Jerry. I own this night. Not you. Jerry whispered. You don't own anything. Caleb's smile vanished. Oh, but I do. He snapped his fingers. Lights came on overhead, revealing 20 armed men surrounding them. Guns pointed. Loaded. Ready. Jerry reached for his gun. Caleb pointed at the twins. Go ahead. Try it. Make one wrong move. And I finish what I started 2 decades ago. Jerry froze. Johnson clenched his teeth. The men cocked their rifles. The sound echoed through the warehouse. Caleb smirked. It's time for round 2, Jerry. Suddenly, there was a click. Little blinking lights started appearing on the barrels of the enemy rifles. Caleb frowned. What? Daniel's voice crackled through Jerry's earpiece. Sir, we have all 20 men locked in crosshairs. Snipers await your signal. Caleb's eyes widened. Snipers? You brought snipers? Jerry looked him dead in the eyes. You're not the only one who learned how to hunt. Caleb snarled. You wouldn't dare fire not with your daughters here. Daniel's calm voice replied. We are not aiming at your men. Jerry smirked. We're aiming at the ceiling. Caleb blinked. What ceiling? Jerry looked up. You're standing under a crane. Caleb, a very old one. Caleb looked up. A massive metal beam hung above him, rusted, cracked. One sniper shot away from falling. Caleb stumbled backward. Fire, Jerry commanded softly. Pop! The beam snapped loose. Crash! Caleb jumped away in time, but 6 of his men were crushed instantly. The others scattered and began firing wildly. Jerry dove behind a metal crate, dragging Johnson with him. Gunfire exploded across the warehouse. Daniel's voice, snipers, engage. Shots fired from every angle. Jerry returned fire with pinpoint accuracy. Johnson used a metal rod as a weapon, striking down a man who charged too close. 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. The warehouse roared with battle. Finally, silence. All of Caleb's men were down. Jerry stood up, exhausted and bleeding from a cut on his forehead. Caleb staggered from behind a crate, limping, face bruised. You used me as bait, he growled. Jerry wiped the blood from his lip. I used your ego. Caleb charged. Jerry caught him. The 2 men crashed into the floor, punching, kicking, rolling through broken glass. Johnson shouted, Jerry. Jerry shouted back, Get the girls. Johnson ran to free Mimi and Mirabelle. Caleb pressed a knife to Jerry's throat. You took everything from me. Jerry grabbed Caleb's wrist and twisted it until the knife fell. No, Jerry growled. You took everything from yourself. He delivered a final punch. Caleb dropped unconscious. Jerry stood over him, breathing heavily. Jessica, he whispered. I'm bringing us home. Johnson cut the ropes. Mimi and Mirabelle screamed when they saw their father. It's okay, Jerry whispered, shaking. Daddy is here. He carried them both in his arms, kissing their heads. They cried into his chest. His tears fell onto their hair. Johnson's voice cracked. They're safe, Jerry. They're safe. Jerry whispered, Let's go home. When the convoy returned to the mansion at dawn, Jessica ran outside barefoot, screaming their names. Mimi, Mirabelle. Jerry stepped out, holding both girls. Jessica collapsed in tears. Mummy's here. Oh God. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Amara fell to her knees, crying. Mama Hannah fainted again, but with joy this time. Johnson hugged Jessica tightly. We brought them home, he whispered. Jessica kissed Jerry over and over. You saved us, she cried. You saved our world. Jerry held her close. I promised you I would. He looked down at the girls. And I will spend the rest of my life keeping you safe. The morning sun rose slowly over Port Harcourt, washing the sky in soft orange light. It felt almost unreal, gentle, calm, peaceful, as if the universe had decided to sit quietly and wait for the family that had just survived the longest night of their lives. Jessica sat in the nursery beside Mimi, Mirabelle, each twin wrapped tightly in their pink blankets. Her eyes were swollen, but her heart was overflowing with something new relief. A relief so deep that she could barely breathe without crying. The babies were safe, home, with her. She looked down at them and stroked their tiny heads. My angels, I thought I lost you. I thought. Her voice broke. Tears spilled down her cheeks again. Amara entered the room quietly. She carried a small bowl of warm water and a towel. Jessica, she whispered, you haven't slept. Let me help you clean the girls. Jessica forced a smile. Thank you, Mummy. I can't stop holding them. Amara sat beside her. You're their mother. You felt every tear they cried, even from miles away. Jessica nodded slowly, staring at her babies as if afraid they might vanish again. I thought God was taking them away from me, she whispered. I thought my life was ending. Amara placed a hand on hers. But he brought them back. And he gave you a husband who fought the whole world for them. Jessica swallowed, eyes softening. Jerry, where is he? Jerry stood alone in his study, staring out the window. His hands trembled not from exhaustion, but from the weight of what he carried. The battle was over. But the war inside him was not. He replayed every moment in his mind, the warehouse, the gunfire, Caleb's voice, the sight of his daughters tied to chairs. His stomach twisted. He felt rage. He felt fear. He felt guilt. But above everything, he felt something he had never felt in his entire life. Vulnerability. For the first time since his childhood trauma, Jerry realized there was something he loved more than his pride, more than his wealth, more than his own life. His family. Jessica's faint footsteps approached. He didn't turn. She walked quietly toward him, her soft hand touching his shoulder. Jerry. He closed his eyes and exhaled shakily. Jessica wrapped her arms around him from behind. Talk to me, please. He finally turned to face her. His eyes were glassy. I almost lost everything I love. You didn't, Jessica whispered. You saved us. Jerry shook his head. I brought danger to this house. I thought I buried my past. I thought I was stronger than it. I thought money and power protected us. But it wasn't enough. Jessica cupped his face. Jerry, look at me. He raised his eyes slowly. You didn't bring danger, she said gently. Your enemies did. Evil people did. Your past did not come back because of who you are. It came back because those men couldn't stand your survival. Don't blame yourself for breathing. Jerry felt something crack inside him. Jessica, I was ready to die last night. She smiled through tears. I know, that's why I was so afraid. Jerry pulled her close and whispered into her hair. I can't lose you. I can't lose the twins. I can't lose this family. You won't, she whispered. We're all here. We're not going anywhere. They held each other tightly, breathing in the safety they nearly lost. 2 days later, the police and state security held a full briefing on Caleb and the Vipers. Officers had raided 3 more hideouts using information extracted from the unconscious criminals recovered at Block 7. Caleb survived, but he was now in federal custody, handcuffed, bruised, and facing charges that would keep him behind bars for the rest of his life. But today was not about revenge. It was about closure. Jerry sat in a waiting room at the DSS office, hands clasped. Jessica sat beside him, holding one of the twins while the other slept in her stroller. A senior DSS officer entered the room. Mr. Nwakanma, he said, nodding respectfully. We've completed the interrogation. You're free from all suspicion, and the government is officially offering protection for you, and your family for as long as needed. Jerry sighed with relief. Thank you. The officer sat down. We also discovered something important. Something related to your childhood case. Jessica leaned forward. What did you find? The officer hesitated, then spoke softly. Your father, Namdi. He wasn't killed instantly. He was injured but alive for several hours after the attack. Jerry's entire body froze. Jessica gripped his hand. He asked for you. The officer continued. The kidnappers abandoned him while he was unconscious. He woke up at dawn, and before he passed, he kept repeating your name. Jerry's face crumpled. A deep, aching sob escaped his throat. Jessica wrapped her arms around him tightly. The officer continued quietly. He died, believing you were alive. He died hoping someone would find you. Jerry cried into Jessica's shoulder, shaking uncontrollably. Jessica whispered, He died loving you. And believing in you. Jerry wiped his tears slowly, whispering, I will make him proud. You already have, Jessica said softly. While Jerry and Jessica handled the legal matters, Johnson spent his days talking with a government therapist for the first time, confronting the pain of being stolen from his family, tortured, and locked away. The therapist told him, "Survival is not just being alive, it's choosing to heal." Johnson carried those words with him like armor. Every sunrise, he walked into Kindness Restaurant and helped in the office even when his hands shook. He sat with customers and talked. He tried to rebuild his identity. He bonded with the twins. He apologized repeatedly to Amara for leaving, even though she never blamed him. And slowly, the family he lost began to feel like home again. 6 months passed. Mimi and Mirabelle turned 18 months old. They were walking, giggling, and clinging to Jerry like glue. Jessica returned to her hospital, job this time, stronger than ever. Amara's restaurant chain expanded to 3 new branches. Mama Hannah gained weight and health and became the celebrity grandma of the community. Everywhere she went, people shouted, "Mama Hannah, pray for us." She prayed, and her prayers worked. Johnson started teaching self-defense at a youth center, counseling boys who were on the wrong path. His trauma became purpose. Jerry built a community foundation called Hope After Darkness, dedicated to kidnapping survivors. Together, they turned pain into power. 8 months later, the trial for the Vipers began. Jerry, Jessica, Johnson, and Amara sat in the front row. Mama Hannah sat beside them holding a Bible. Caleb was brought in wearing handcuffs. For the first time, he looked afraid, weak, human. Jerry stood and walked forward. Caleb smirked, expecting fear. But Jerry looked him dead in the eyes. "You lost," Jerry said softly. "Not because I fought harder, but because I had something worth fighting for," Caleb sneered. "Family makes you weak." Jerry shook his head. "Family makes you powerful. You tried to destroy mine, but all you did was remind us how strong we are." Caleb scoffed. "You'll never forget me." Jerry leaned closer. "I don't have to. The law will remember you for me." When the judge announced life imprisonment, the courtroom erupted in cheers. Jessica held Jerry's hand tightly. Johnson's shoulders relaxed for the first time in years. Mama Hannah whispered, "Peace has come." But just when the family thought life had fully calmed, a woman in dark glasses, sitting at the back of the courtroom, smirked. Her name was Kimberly, Caleb's sister, and she wasn't done. She stood up quietly, left the courtroom, and whispered to her phone, "They think the storm is over. They have no idea what's coming." But that story belonged to another lifetime. For now, the family had peace. 1 year later, Mimi and Mirabelle celebrated their 2nd birthday at Kindness Restaurant. The place was decorated with pink and purple balloons. Kids ran around laughing. Amara cooked the jollof herself. Mama Hannah wore a matching lace gown with the twins. Jessica walked around greeting guests, wearing a simple peach gown and glowing with joy. Jerry stood near the stage, watching his family with pride. Johnson stood behind the twins with a camera, smiling widely. When the birthday song ended, Jessica lifted Mimi while Jerry held Mirabelle. "Make a wish," everyone shouted. Jessica kissed her daughters. "My wish already came true," she whispered. Jerry kissed her forehead. "Mine too." Later that night, after the guests left, Jerry stood with Jessica in the garden of the mansion. Soft lights glowed among the flowers. Music played quietly. The twins slept peacefully inside. "Jessica," Jerry said softly, holding her hands, "after everything we've survived, I want to promise again that I will spend my life protecting you and our daughters." Jessica smiled through tears. "And I want to promise again that I will walk with you through every storm." Jerry pulled out a small ring box. Jessica gasped. Jerry whispered, "Marry me again." Jessica nodded, tears falling. "Mimi and Mirabelle need to see this one day," she said. "They need to know their parents fought for love." And under the stars, they renewed their vows quietly, privately, beautifully. 3 years later, Johnson recovered fully and started counseling survivors of kidnapping trauma. Amara's restaurant empire spread across 3 states. Mama Hannah lived a peaceful, happy, fulfilled life, surrounded by her children and great-grandchildren. Jessica became one of the leading pediatric doctors in the country. Jerry became one of the strongest voices for victims' rights. And Mimi and Mirabelle grew into happy, confident little girls always. Smiling, always laughing, always loved. One evening, the whole family sat on the living room floor making a puzzle. Mirabelle whispered, "Daddy, are monsters real?" Jerry looked at Jessica. He smiled gently. "Yes," he said, "but love is stronger." "And family? Family beats every monster." Jessica leaned her head on his shoulder. Amara and Johnson held hands. Mama Hannah prayed softly. The twins giggled, climbing into everyone's laps. And in that quiet room full of warmth, the long, painful journey finally reached the ending it deserved. A family healed, a home restored, a legacy rebuilt. Kindness won. Love won. They won. What is your view about this story? Where are you watching from? If you enjoyed this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.